Alright, so I wanted to show this clip because it's a good example of a lot of the things that we've been practicing recently when we talk about exiting the defensive 50 and moving the ball out the wings. So this is Port Adelaide versus Collingwood. Port Adelaide in black, Collingwood in white. Early in the first quarter, Port Adelaide's just won a free kick about 55 meters out from the front of goal. So outside the range of the kicker to be able to kick the goal from there, but in a really dangerous position on the ground. So what we're going to watch for is how Collingwood, in white, tries to win the ball back and tries to exit out of the defensive 50 under so much pressure from Port Adelaide. So let's run it through a little bit here. And so we're going to see a good kick into the dangerous part of the ground here. Ball comes to ground. Port Adelaide's got numbers in front of the footy, but Collingwood ends up winning it here. And so what we can see in this view is that Collingwood's going to go backwards in order to go forward. So they've won the ball. They're going to go back to their player that we're going to call the anchor, who's waiting at the back of the contest, and he's going to look to exit the defensive 50. So you can see here, immediately looks to the boundary, out that 45 degrees, long and high, out of the dangerous area in front of goals.
Rough hit. Pumps it wide, but Aaliyah.
Now Port Adelaide's done a good job here. Aaliyah set up behind the ball in what we call a zone or a press. And what they've done here is intercepted the ball, and they're going to send it right back in to keep Collingwood under pressure. Now what's important about that is that intercept mark, you can see where he is on the ground. It's dangerous, but again, he's not able to kick a goal. He's outside his range on a pretty big angle. And so even though Port won the ball, Collingwood didn't give it to them in a spot where they're kind of immediately able to kick a goal. Aaliyah looks right here, makes a good decision to kick the ball inside. What he's done is he's changed the angle. He's forced the defense to change the angle that they're defending. But this is a really good view of just how congested this forward line is. Collingwood's got tons of numbers behind the ball. Port doesn't have a lot of options to go for. And what you're going to see is this space open up here. And that's where he eventually goes. So Dixon's here, this forward's here, and this is where they're going to end up going. Now before that happens, Dersman here is going to make a good lead. That's not going to be honored. So he's going to make a lead into this space, and he's not going to get used. But what he's done is he's opened up the space behind him for Big Charlie to run into. So when we talk about moving around, using space, and it doesn't matter if you necessarily get the ball, what you're doing is you're helping your teammates in behind you. So you see this lead here, doesn't get honored, he clears out of the space, and he's right back in to be front and center in front of the contest. Port's done well here. Charlie Dixon brings the ball to ground, and we talk about front and center crumbing. Port's done really well to get numbers in front of the footy and to win that ball off of the ground that came off of Charlie Dixon. Works it out here, good handball, unlucky here that he doesn't get the finish, but now Collingwood's won the ball back, and you see again, first thing he does, pick it up, he's going backwards. So we don't always have to go forward in footy. We put that anchor behind the contest, we put that person behind the pack. That lets us just open up that space and have a little bit more time to make the clearing kick. So ball comes back, again, looks to the wing, and this time, Aaliyah is going to get there, but he's not going to be able to mark, and that ball goes out of bounds. Now if I'm Collingwood, I'm really happy with that result. In footy, if the ball goes off like that, kind of in a neutral situation, the umpire throws it up, and so it's a neutral throw-in. Collingwood gets some time to reorganize themselves on defense. Port's got to pull a few of their men back to sit behind the ball on their defensive side, and so Collingwood's relieved that pressure, and they've managed to escape from a really strong attack without giving up a goal. But it all starts with identifying that the ball's come in, putting the anchor behind the footy, winning those contests on the ground, and then exiting out the wings so that we're not in dangerous areas. So good example by both teams here on kind of a typical forward entry play, and I think it's a really good example for someone learning the game or to see the game, how to use that space and then how to exit out of the defensive 50.